with Spark. Game
Jared's going to do the Lord's work now and start adding in more people. If you have jumped in. And in the meantime, I'm going to do a little story time while Jared's finding our next squad. So, as it is just a Thursday evening with Uncle Mark, I thought I'd bring along my scrapbook and give you guys a little bit of an insight into what I've done through my 43 years of being on this earth. Might be 44, no, 43 years. So, if you didn't know, so for my first, I guess, entrance into the world of broadcasting was radio, and I was on what at the time was a monster of a breakfast show. It was called Polly and Grant in the Mornings, or the ZM Breakfast Show, I think it was called. Is it still that, Jared?
No.
The Crew. No, they were called The Crew. It was The Morning Crew with Polly and Grant.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
And then I was on, 15 years later with...
Yeah, you produced 15 years later, which was with Fletch, Vaughan and Haley.
Yep.
Yeah.
Small world, man.
Very small world. So both Jared and I have been through the ranks of radio. At the time, too, there weren't that many radio stations, to be fair. So we ran right, and it was a cool time to be around broadcasting. Things have changed a bit now, but it's a cool time to be streaming. It's a cool time to be doing podcasts and stuff like that. So I've managed to be a part of the two cool things, which is super cool. But I do make scrapbooks because that's what people of my age do. And I thought I'd bring my scrapbook in, chat, and we could have a little story time whilst Jared's putting together the next squad. And in my scrapbook, I have an array of the finest things from around the world, but also photos of me when I was growing up. I don't know how well you can see these, but I'm not even embarrassed to show them. There's little me in my Ngarapa rugby jersey. I used to play for Ngarapa. That's a small farming region in Gizzy. Father Mark story time, Twisted Little Red. I love this. Yeah. But, oh, look, I've even got, if I flip over here, there's me. That's one of my ball photos. I'm sure Rebecca Dunning won't mind me showing. I took Rebecca Dunning to the ball that year. She was a year older than me. But, Rebecca Dunning. That was one of my ball photos.
Chat, do you notice how we just stopped at the photo with the abs but didn't address it?
Oh, no, that's not a great photo. That's not a great photo of me, but that's where I have my nipple pierced, my eyebrow pierced. I was a rocker back in the day. That's my primary school. Interesting story. You won't be able to see it close up, but this guy here, Richard Humphreys, we used to call him Rick Daddy Flavor or Rickoby Trice. So Rick and I were primary school buddies all the way back in Ngarapa School. That's Ngarapa School. In the year 1993. Oh, yes, we had colour back then. So Rick and I were neighbours, farmers' neighbours. Now, if you're a townie and you're watching the stream, you don't understand what a neighbour is in farming terms. Like, a farmer is 15, 20 minutes down the road. Basically another suburb if you're in the city. But we were 15 minutes down the road in Ngarapa, and that was neighbours' terms for us. So we've been neighbours since way back when we were in primary school together. We went to high school together. He went off his separate way when it came to uni days, and I went my separate ways. Now we live about 3 minutes down the road from each other in Sandringham, Central Auckland. And he's got a young family, I've got my family, and we're still the best of mates. So that's a cool little story, but that's him there, little Rick Daddy flavour. Hey, Swaddle XL, I see you, Suede XL. We're going to get to the game, but let's start on one of my pages that I've got. I think I've told you most of the stuff about my trip to France, the Rugby World Cup in 2007, and this page here kind of represents that. This is a packet of matches, which I believe there'll still be matches in there, from the Hotel de Créon in Paris. This is one of the most exclusive hotels, and Jonah Lomu, who at the time, Jonah, who was a good friend of mine, but and also Grant's, he was staying there. So, to get into that place, though, there was like security all around. You had to be top tier, and I believe at the time too there was a very well-known president who was staying at the hotel at the same time for the Rugby World Cup, and Jonah was staying there. And basically, what am I doing there? It's one of those moments where I do not belong here, and that's from there. That's the raid badge that I got. So the part of our trip when we were in France, the special police force that they have in Paris, they have the most incredible weapons, and they took us to a shooting range. And on the way to the shooting range, and this is crazy, they used their sirens. This is to me, I was like, what the hell's going on? So we were just going to the shooting range, but they couldn't be bothered waiting in traffic. So they just switched their sirens on. There's 5 like Land Rover looking things. It's like just like 4x4s with lights on top, weaponry all through them. And here we are with the special police, the raid police, taking us to a shooting range to shoot some of the most high-powered range, what do you call them, weapons that did not belong in my hand. So me, Jonah, and Grant went into that, and it was, when I say incredible, I will never ever get to do something like that again, and that's what I think of. But there was a handgun there that when you shot it, the kick on that thing, like you couldn't hold it straight, no matter how much strength you put into it, you'd be like this, and it's like boosh. And it was a semi-automatic, so it went. And I remember Grant doing it in the shooting range, and the kick went so bad that he ended up shooting up into the ceiling, like it threw him back that much. And Grant was a big dude. Like he was in his bodybuilding phase at that point, and the kick on that gun, I'll never forget it. It was crazy. But these high-powered rifles that I had no business trying, the raid boys took us out there, and we got to fire all of them. One of the other crazy things too is that next to us there was a part of the range. So if you can imagine, almost like in New Zealand we have those golf driving ranges. It kind of looks like that, but it's a real long way, and then there's like concrete walls at the back end of it with targets on it. There was a guy, and we would have probably been there for maybe an hour and a half, firing all the different weapons, like gush gush. And there was a guy who didn't fire one bullet while we were there, and he was in the range next to us. So, and he had sitting there with a sniper rifle, just a civilian, like just a normal old dude chilling there with a sniper rifle, and he had this little beanbag, and he was just like ever so slightly moving it and squeezing it so that the rifle would go up and down. And he, for about an hour and 40 minutes, didn't fire a bullet, was just sussing out a target at the far end. And I just kept looking over at him going, what's going on here? What's he doing? Is he going to fire? It didn't fire one single sniper rifle bullet that whole time we were there, but the size of the rifle he was eyeing up and the very subtle movements, I may or may not have sat there for about 10 minutes just watching him and just watching him do the smallest adjustments. Didn't fire a bullet there. Hour and 40. Like, incredible stuff. Anyways, that wasn't even the page I wanted to talk about. Let's go to Jared. It's time to talk about... Oh, do I do that one? Here's this... Look at this page here. Now, this page here is my journey on the Rihanna 777 tour. So I have kept all my tickets. So it was... Rihanna released the 777 album, and for her release, she invited world media or press, selected press media, to fly to LA and follow her through 7 different countries in 7 days, doing 7 concerts. So I was a part of that select crew that got to go and do it. It was a crazy part of my life. If you can imagine some of the chaos and hijinks that you get up to. So Rihanna was on the plane as well. I'm talking about, this one, the umbrella one. So on here, I've got all my tickets. So this is Monday, the 19th of November, 2012, 7 p.m. I am at the HMV Forum, which would make way more sense if I knew where that even was.
What year was it?
2012. So there's all the tickets of me going to each one of the concerts. Now, some of the press got bored of it because it started to get very tiresome, and I'll be honest with you. We went to Stockholm. We went to, which is Sweden, Germany. We were in Germany there. We were in Berlin. We did London. Oh my goodness, I kept that too. And right here, everyone who went on the tour, who were on the flight, got this little wee, I don't know if you can see that. This is a tiny little wee diamond. Because, you know, she had that shine bright like a diamond. So she gave us all a little wee diamond. And there's a little wee gold-plated thing here with the world's smallest diamond. I appreciate it, though. I wasn't after a big one. But, yeah, we all got one of these. And I've kept it, and it's still in its package. There's all the flight tickets. That's my VIP pass to go wherever I wanted. Craziest place we went to was probably in Paris. And it's an odd one to admit now because of all the skullduggery that's gone on. But in the VIP area, which we kind of had access to, but kind of not as well. But I ended up making friends with one of her security guards, And he basically said, oh, you know, after shows, just come find me, and I'll let you into the VIP areas. So we're in the VIP lounge, is what it was called, in Paris. And there were, you know, all the hanger-ons that come in with concerts, but one, Sean Diddy Combs was there. When I say controversial, I get it. It's a
Very.
hugely controversial time, and I'm not going to take the mickey or say anything untoward. I had very little to do or see at that time. Like, for me, I didn't even talk to the guy. He was in the middle of the circle in that VIP area, but he was there. He was there at the VIP lounge in Paris during that tour. I remember that. And I did get some time to hang out with Jay-Z when we went back to New York, because he was there. He supported her on stage at New York, because of course she was under his wing, and he nicknamed me Kiwi. We were at that point. I'd seen him a couple of times on the tour, but he was like, Kiwi, come over here, have a drink. I'm not going to do the accent because I can't. But yeah, that was the tale that I had I know this all sounds like it's all made up. That's why I keep the receipts. I do keep the receipts, and it's not so that I can have these stories, but I've lived a blessed life, and I've had some crazy moments, and the Rihanna 777 tour was one of those ones where I was like, man, 7 different countries, 7 days, Germany, Stockholm, where else did we go? London, Mexico City. It was bananas. And you just went to the concert, got on the bus, went to the airport, sat on a plane, private jet, then Rihanna would turn up, and the champagne would come out, and we'd fly off to the next country, go the back door. None of this proper customs where you'd end up going through where everybody else was. There's like this backdoor system where we all just kind of walked in, showed our passports, and off we went to the next concert. And I went through all 7 of those concerts. I collected the poster, so they had... Sorry, I'm boring you now. We're going to get into the next game shortly. But they gave out, I think it was 250 posters at every single concert, and I ended up getting my hands on every one of them. So only 250 for the Mexico concert, only 250. I was literally waiting at the door. This is how geeky I am and how collectible I am. I was like, I've got to get my hands on one of those concert posters, and I have them all sitting at home. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. My wife keeps telling me throw them out, just to what, but they are sitting at home, and yeah, I have. I've lived a very blessed life.